Imagine killing your son, killing him with your love. Why is he obsessed with the idea that he must be better than you, that he must achieve the same thing you have achieved, that he must be the best in your field? You are the one who, I will tell you today. It is the story of a young man who was programmed all his life that he must live like his father, so he rebelled against his entire family and decided to distance himself from them after he was psychologically and mentally distorted and was trampled on by the audience. Jaden Smith, son of Will Smith, started out as a child who you feel is cute, with an angelic face and great acceptance on screen. Now, you find a radical transformation in his personality, from women's clothing, flashy colors, very obscene movements, and announcing that he is bisexual, loves men and women, loud parties, and a debauched life closer to prostitution. So what happened from the moment Jaden Smith was born in 1998? His mother and father never told him no. They allowed him to do anything he loved and wanted, hoping that this would make their relationship stronger. Jaden's journey to stardom began when he was 8 years old. In 2006, he made his debut in the biographical drama film The Pursuit of Happiness. Most young people start out with small roles to help them grow, but Jaden was the opposite. He started from the top. His first appearance was co-starring in a film with his father, of course, with his father pressuring him to act with him. When this movie was suggested to Will Smith, he immediately agreed and suggested that his son share the lead role with him and play the role of his son in the movie, claiming that this would create real feelings and people would accept it more. They designed a plan that they calculated. The film's producers did not want Jaden to star in the film. It was a drama film with a budget of about $55 million. The film is inspired by the true-life story of Cles Gardner, a man who works in marketing from San Francisco. He struggles and gets tired to build a future for himself and his 5-year-old son, Christopher, when his wife and his son's mother abandon them. Chris suffers in raising his son while fighting poverty and homelessness. However, the producers refused and asked Jaden to do an audition with 500 other children, and they would choose the most suitable one, and he agreed. According to Will Smith's memoirs, the director was amazed when he saw Jaden's performance and was convinced that he was the most suitable for the role. However, the studio refused and told him that if we accept Jaden, we will be killing the movie from a marketing perspective. People might get upset and say that we let Will Smith's son act through connections, and they might cut the movie. We don't need negative publicity. But of course, with Will Smith's pressure, the producers made Jaden do 9 auditions, which is a lot, by the way. When they found the chemistry between him and his father was very good, and the boy really acts well, they gave in and agreed to the film. It will be released, and it will be one of the strongest, best, and most successful films of Will Smith in his history. The film is excellent. Will Smith and his son were creative and commercially as well. The film was excellent. With a budget of $55 million, it achieved revenues of $400 million, a huge number for a drama film. With the success of this film, it opened the door for Jaden to storm the world of Hollywood forcefully. At the age of 10, Jaden had a crazy idea to start a water company, a mineral water distribution company. Do you think it would be called May Just Water or Just Water? Literally, creativity. As a child raised with knowledge that his father and mother never say no to any request and that he would implement whatever came to his mind, he immediately agreed to start this company. It is a water company, but a little different. Jaden banned the use of plastic in it to preserve the environment. Indeed, the brand was adopted and became famous, reaching more than 10 countries in the world after it was shown in America in 2015 with a strong marketing campaign. In his destination, star Willis Maas and his son here, teacher Jaden forgets himself, selling me the personality of the philosopher and thinking that he succeeded on his own, not with his father's money. He appears in an interview and says, "I don't like kids my age. They are very ignorant kids and their thinking is limited. I want big people to think with me about business, the environment, and the economy." Of course, these statements made people laugh at him. They mocked him and described him as a scum and someone who was born in a suspended state. He mocks his own generation and acts as an educated and understanding uncle. He appears in another statement and says that the SAT score of 30 is not necessary in universities, and if all people finished high school and worked, society would have smarter and more clever people. People mocked him for a very strong reason, because he is not one of them, and he does not need their circumstances to speak. You are richer and more generous than to speak on our behalf. You are one. Your father taught you at home and did not send you to schools because he wanted you by his side while filming his movies. You received the best education at home with the most expensive teachers. We were middle and poor class people. We didn't have the money to educate our children at home, so we went to public schools to get a chance for a decent life. Will Smith, because he was so rich, literally opened an academy for primary education for his children. He opened a full school that teaches art, sports, and the alphabet, and develops his children's talents. The school grew and only allowed a limited number of people to enter, with annual fees exceeding $50,000. But in 2019, this school was closed by the government after the government discovered that they were teaching subjects closer to Scientology, which is a religion that has a large sect, by the way, in America and in many countries. It has many secrets and conspiracy theories. I will tell you about it in detail later. When Jaden finds people's criticism of him, it is natural that he, as a spoiled child, gets upset and goes on tweets. We must rebel against traditional education. He brainwashes people. Public schools are like prisons. A child complains without giving you any useful solutions. He always wants you to feel that he is cultured, aware, and rebellious. We reach the year 2010. Smith is obsessed with making his son a star. His son is now 12 years old. He decides that the time is right for his son to star in a movie. Yes, The Karate Kid, the pinnacle of Jaden Smith's career. Now, look at the capabilities that Will provided for his son to succeed successfully. First, he will bring in Jackie Chan, the most famous kung fu star in China and America, and he will play the supporting role for Jaden in the movie, as he will be the one who trains. Second, the movie will be a modified version of the most famous karate movie in cinema, The Karate Kid, which was released in 1884. Although Jaden's movie has nothing to do with karate at all, because the kid was training kung fu in the movie. Will and the director designed and named it The Karate Kid to link it to the old iconic movie and to play on a piece of nostalgia. People get excited, and the movie is scary. And because Will was one of the movie's producers, he paid huge sums of money and used his influence to get China to agree that scenes in the movie be filmed in places where foreigners are not allowed to film, like the Great Wall of China. In addition to paying huge sums of money to film the movie, Will also arranged for his son to collaborate on a music video with Justin Bieber. The movie's theme song, a rap track called Never Say Never, was Jaden's first song, and it was a huge success. It won many awards and was so well received that it reached 1.1 billion views on YouTube. As for the movie itself, it was also a massive hit, earning $400 million in revenue. Jaden proved himself as a rising star in Hollywood. His salary for the film was one of the highest ever paid to a young actor at the time. He received $3 million. It was a moment that made his father truly proud. Everything Will did for his son seemed to be paying off. He had managed to plan the perfect path, a carefully crafted roadmap to turn Jaden into a star, and perhaps even lay the foundation for future generations to follow. It was a path so tightly drawn, it seemed impossible to stray from it. But then came 2013, the year Will Smith unintentionally sabotaged his son's rising career. That year, Will made a bold decision. He would transform his now iconic son into a full-blown marketing symbol, a machine that could generate billions. And so, he launched their most ambitious project yet, a sci-fi epic called After Earth. Set in a post-apocalyptic future where Earth has been destroyed, humanity has migrated to a new planet. Will plays a harsh, stoic military colonel, while Jaden plays his son. During a mission gone wrong, the colonel is gravely injured, leaving Jaden, the film's young hero, to survive the dangers of the alien world and find a way to save them both. In Will's mind, After Earth wasn't just a movie, it was the beginning of a universe. He dreamed of turning it into a colossal franchise, an empire that would rival the giants. He imagined sequels, prequels, spin-offs, a TV series, animated, films, maybe even a theme park, an After-Earth world like Disney's Magic Kingdom, but with spacesuits and futuristic landscapes. There would be branded merchandise, backpacks, jackets, toys, video games on PlayStation and Xbox, even comic books. This wasn't just a film, it was supposed to be a legacy. And Jaden? He was the centerpiece, the chosen one. At that time, Jaden had complete faith in his father. Blind trust. "Yes, Dad," he'd say. "Whatever you think is best. You're the reason I'm here. You've never failed." But then the shock hit. The movie flopped hard. Critics tore it apart, fans rejected it, and everything Will had planned came crashing down. The empire he envisioned never stood a chance. And Jaden? He didn't just fall, he shattered. His trust, his confidence, his entire world crumbled in front of him. The boy who had built to be a star suddenly faced a reality where even his father's power couldn't protect him. The film had a colossal budget, $200 million. It hit theaters with the weight of an But when it all went wrong, he was the one who took the fall. And behind the scenes, Will Smith watched the walls crumble. In his own words, he no longer trusted me, not as a father, not as a leader. And he was right, because Will wasn't just his dad. He was the director of the path, the architect of the dream. And Jaden, still a teenager, was left alone to carry the weight of the failure. The damage was deep, not just to Jaden's career, but to their relationship, to his confidence, to his identity. This was more than a flop. It was a turning point. And then everything snapped. Jaden Smith, the golden boy molded by Hollywood's biggest star, broke the mold, shattered it. In a voice that trembled with rage and disappointment, he turned to his father and said, "You don't want me to act, Dad? Fine, I won't. I'm done trying to be what you want. I'm not your reflection. You betrayed me." It wasn't just teenage angst. This was a declaration of independence, a rejection of everything his father had built for him. No more movies, no more coaching, no more pretending. He turned his back on Hollywood and walked straight into the storm. Jaden found himself drawn to fashion, but not as the industry expected. No polished suits, no red carpet elegance. Instead, he embraced chaos. Brown skin, bleached yellow hair, grills in his teeth like a wannabe gangster rapper, baggy, unstructured clothes. Sometimes dresses, sometimes skirts, sometimes both, sometimes neither. People laughed, mocked him. They didn't understand the vision, because even Jaden himself wasn't sure what the vision was. But when the world said, pick a side, Jaden said, why? I'm just dressing like me. There's no such thing as boys' clothes or girls' clothes. Kids should wear what they want. To many, it sounded like nonsense. To others, it was rebellion. To a few, it was art. But one thing was certain, Jaden Smith was no longer a product of Will Smith's plan. He was a rebellious prototype, glitching in public, crashing in style, and trying desperately to find his own voice. "There is no such thing as men's and women's clothing," he said on camera, wearing a skirt and eyeliner. A gold grill flashed as he smiled, defiant, a statement that made headlines and made millions roll their eyes. To some, he was brave. To others, he was lost. They said he was trying too hard to be different. But what they didn't understand was that Jaden Smith wasn't trying to be different. He was trying to be free. But freedom came with a cost. He was mocked online, called cringe, fake, confused, attention-seeking, a spoiled celebrity child, playing philosopher in an outfit he didn't understand. He's just riding the openness trend, trying to belong somewhere, anywhere. His relationship with his father collapsed. Tensions boiled over. He went so far as to announce a legal petition to remove himself from his parents' guardianship, to officially cut ties with the very people who built him. The world gasped. The media exploded. But behind the scenes, his family intervened, calmed him, convinced him to pause. He changed his mind, but not his heart. I won't listen to him again. Never again. His mental health spiraled. Dark tweets, rambling interviews. He began calling himself a philosopher, told the world, I'm messy. I love men. No, wait, I'm bisexual. Every word made headlines. Every headline made things worse. He was lost in the noise. A boy raised under the Hollywood spotlight, craving identity in a world that never saw him as real. This wasn't rebellion anymore. It was a boy unraveling, in public, alone. He stood in front of the camera, eyes heavy with sleepless conviction, and said, "Children are the most intelligent people. If they spoke more, they'd awaken the world to progress." The room went silent, not in awe, but in disbelief. How can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? He asked, as if he had just cracked the secret of the universe. The internet exploded. Memes, mockery, midnight thought jokes. Did the egg come first or the chicken? Rose deep for no reason? They laughed. They labeled him the midnight philosopher, lost in a cloud of faux wisdom and Tumblr quotes. A walking quote machine, a spoiled kid playing Socrates, with dyed hair. So, what did Jaden do? He doubled down, dyed his hair like a child's drawing, wore clothes louder than his voice, then said, "I'll stop talking. Humanity's awareness must rise before listening to my philosophy." Still, no one listened. They laughed harder. So he hit back. "If my skin was white and I hadn't touched my father, you'd all consider me one of the greatest philosophers of our time." Silence. Not because they were stunned, but because now it just felt sad. It wasn't rebellion anymore. It wasn't art. It was a cry for recognition, a desperate attempt to be seen as more than a spoiled child with famous parents. But the more he tried to prove he had a soul, the more the world mocked his mind. The cameras had stopped rolling. The noise had died down. But inside Jaden's mind, the storm never ended. "I feel that the whole world doesn't understand me," he once whispered in an interview no one took seriously. "I always felt different. From the rest of the children, I saw how they dealt with me." A voice that once mocked other kids for being ordinary was now breaking under the weight of never feeling normal himself. He was pampered, yes, but also controlled. He was protected, yes, but also pushed. He didn't get to choose. Not the fame, not the path, not even the failure. His father's dream became his prison. And when that dream shattered, he was the one left to sweep the glass. Barefoot. A child who never learned what he wanted because he was too busy doing what he was told. And the world, it didn't forgive. It laughed. It labeled. It reduced him to a punchline, when all he wanted was a voice that didn't sound like his father's, a voice that wasn't measured in box office numbers, a voice that could just be his. But the tragedy? He wasn't just lost. He was alone. And the only thing louder than his outfits was the silence of a boy never truly heard. Perhaps deep down, he always knew the truth. It wasn't the other kids who were insignificant. It was him. A boy trapped in a world he never chose, trying to act normal while carrying the invisible chains of expectation. Jaden didn't know how to be like them, because he was never allowed to try. Every step he took was choreographed. Every word he spoke was scripted. Every dream he chased was borrowed from someone else. Will Smith, the icon, the legend, the father, and the shadow that loomed so large Jaden never found the sun. He went on to make music, star in more films, reinvent himself again and again. But each version felt like a cry for help, not a declaration of identity, because the wound wasn't on the surface. It was buried, deep in a heart still trying to heal. A father's control, a public's ridicule, and a boy's desperate search for self. And that's where the story sits today. Not a clean ending, not a happy one. Just an open wound in the shape of a boy trying to become a man without losing what little of himself he has left. So what do you think? Was Jaden a victim of fame too early, or did he simply fail to rise? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's talk about it. This has been another story from the shadows of celebrity. Don't forget to like, share, and follow for more untold truths.